Imagine your financial life as a scorecard, but not the kind you got in school. A scorecard made of time.
Perfect.
Every month, you get a fixed number of minutes to work. Take care of people you love, pay bills, and keep yourself from breaking. Each time you pay a small fee, or swipe your card, because stress is loud, the scorecard doesn't subtract money right away. It subtracts your future.
The heart rate
What
is
traps most
strong
people isn't
and
one big
steady.
fall. It's tiny numbers
Everything looks
repeating,
perfect.
steady like a heartbeat. I'm here to help you look straight at that scorecard, calmly.
Oh, come
This
on.
is entertainment,
Just one.
not financial advice.
Ser-
But if you watch to the end, you'll have a clear map to build wealth over time. Understand why you feel stuck, and avoid
Notice how
traps
these
that
red
drain
line
money in
signs
silence.
appear, representing
I'm
a
going to
deduction.
reveal one rule
Watch them
most people
closely as they
refuse to
fade
face.
away, signaling
You
a
don't lose
subtraction.
because you lack effort. You lose because you can't see the invisible point deductions. Once you see them, you start taking control back. Many families of color in the United States step into the middle class with something quietly unfair. They do almost everything right, yet their wealth grows slower. Not because they're less capable, but because they get charged more for the same services, and they have less cushion to absorb mistakes. One broken car, one medical bill, one job disruption. For someone else, it's a scratch. For you, it can turn into a crack that lasts for years. I don't want you trapped inside anger, because anger doesn't pay your bills. I want you to understand the
but I must
mechanism.
refuse this
Compounding is like an elevator. If you step in facing the right direction, it lifts you without you having to sprint. But if you face the wrong direction, every year you sink without noticing. So we start with something simple and sharp. We look at your money going out, not just your money coming in. The first step sounds boring, but it's the foundation. You check your cash flow the way you check your call history. No advanced knowledge needed. For 90 days, you write down every outflow, the smallest ones included. Most people think they know where their money goes, but that's just a feeling. The truth sits in your statements. And statements don't lie. If you look long enough, you'll spot what seems harmless, but is bleeding you quietly. Bank fees, late penalties, subscriptions that renew themselves, overdrafts triggered by one bad day. I call them invisible point deductions, because you don't hear a sound, you just watch your account thin out. Patch a few small leaks,
Invest in
and
your
you create
future.
room to breathe
Purchase a subscription
and room
fee
to invest.
and unlock your
Next,
potential.
I'm going to talk about something harder than
All right,
tracking
and there we have
spending.
it. Good as
How to
new.
protect your future without turning yourself into everyone's rescue plan. There's a kind of pressure many people know too well. You become the strongest person in the family. And suddenly, you become the life raft. People call when rent
Miles
is due,
speaking?
when a car
Is that
breaks,
Miles? I need
when
your
something
help.
urgent
Wait,
happens,
what?
and you help because you care. Because you remember what it felt like to have nothing. But if helping always empties your own pocket, you're turning your future into the emergency fund for everyone else. The worst part is you do it quietly, then blame yourself for still not getting ahead. I'm not telling you to be cold to your family. I'm telling you to build a boundary. You need a giving fund. Separate. Clear. With a limit. So kindness doesn't become self-destruction. When that fund is empty, you stop. Not because you're selfish,
Hold
but
on a
because you're
moment.
protecting your foundation.
Appreciate your
You
enthusiasm,
can't build
but
wealth
please
while you
stop.
live in constant rescue mode. Once you
Seems
have a
I'm fully
boundary,
protected.
the next step can finally grow. A real buffer. So one bad day doesn't become a bad decade. The middle class isn't destroyed by big expenses. It's destroyed by surprise expenses. A tire blows. A dentist visit hits. A child needs medicine. Not massive costs. But they arrive at the wrong time. When you don't have cash ready, you're forced to borrow. And borrowing often drags in high interest, extra fees. And the feeling of being cornered, I call it the clamp. You lose money. Then you lose
Secure
calm.
your future.
Then you lose more money.
Protect
That's why an
yourself
emergency
with
fund
an
isn't for
emergency
getting
fund.
rich. It's for refusing to sell your future at a discount. The goal is simple. Build 3 to 6 months of basic expenses. You start with a small number, something that lets you sleep. You automate a fixed amount each month. So discipline doesn't depend on mood. When your buffer exists, you gain the right to choose. Not to panic borrow. Not to pay with interest. Not to spiral. In the next part, we face the enemy that slows wealth down the most. High interest debt. The thing that eats you daily while you pretend it's just a number on a screen. You can have an emergency fund, you can track spending, but if you carry high interest debt, your life still feels like running on a treadmill. You're breathing hard, you're working, but you don't move forward. High interest debt is ruthless. It consumes your growth before your money even gets the chance to grow. It makes you think you're progressing, when you're really paying for the past. So, I want you to do one cold, clean action. Put every debt on one page. No excuse. No shame. No avoidance. Look directly at the interest rate, because interest is the price you pay to keep debt alive. Then choose one target and focus. Either attack the highest interest first, or clear the smallest balance first to build momentum. Both can work. The only thing that doesn't work is switching strategies every few weeks.
Another one down.
Because inconsistency is an invisible interest rate. It steals months you never get back. There's a trap that makes debt even more toxic. You don't just pay money, you pay emotions. A late payment makes you feel embarrassed. So you avoid opening the app, avoid emails. Then you fall behind again. Debt stops being numbers. It becomes a shadow that follows you into sleep. That shadow grows when terms are confusing. Penalties are aggressive. Or your loan gets passed from company to company. I'm not asking you to become a lawyer. I'm asking you to become someone who reads carefully. If your debt is tied to education, medical bills, or long contracts, look for options that match your income, or relief programs if you qualify. Many people miss them simply because they never check. If you face predatory behavior, document everything. Messages, statements, dates, because evidence is power. Most of all, don't let debt take something beyond money. Don't let it take your self-respect. Because once you lose that, you'll sign a worse deal just to escape quickly. Once high-interest debt is under control, the next question isn't whether you're smart. The question is whether your money is allowed to grow. Many people keep money sitting in an account because they fear risk, but they forget another risk. Money standing still is being eaten by time. You don't need to predict tomorrow. You need a system that works even when you don't feel motivated. That system is steady contributions, simple choices, and low costs. So your money doesn't bleed through fees. If your workplace offers a match and you don't take it, you're leaving part of your paycheck on the table. If you can use retirement accounts with tax advantages, treat them like time-locked boxes. You feed them. Then let time do the heavy lifting. When you choose what to invest in, favor broad, simple funds that track the market, because they don't need perfect timing. They need consistency, compounding rewards, the steady person, not the excited person. Here's what many young people feel right now. You do the right things. You work hard, and you still don't feel faster. You can negotiate your pay, and you should. But some gaps aren't solved by asking politely. They sit inside the structure. That's why I want you to build a second stream of income. Not to show off, but to buy options. When you have only one income source, you live on one leg, one strong wind, and you fall. You don't need 3 jobs. You need one thing that can grow over time. A skill, a service, a digital product, freelance work. Many online platforms judge you by output, not by your face, not by your accent, not by your zip code. I call it the side door. You use the side door because the front door was never built equally. When a second stream stabilizes, something changes inside you. You stop begging for safety, and you start producing it. Having money to invest is one thing. Owning assets that stand up over time is another. In the United States, many people build their largest wealth through housing, not because they're smarter, but because they own something that can rise in value year after year. But not everyone is valued fairly. Some neighborhoods get discounted, Some homes get scored lower because of where they stand. And that means the same effort can produce very different outcomes. I'm not saying this to make you bitter. I'm saying it so you can be strategic. If you buy a home, protect its value like you protect your name. Keep records, document improvements, and don't hesitate to seek a second opinion when you need it. If you haven't bought yet, you can still move step by step. Set a clear target. Look into legitimate support programs, and consider living in one part while renting another to reduce the load. In the next part, I'm going to close a critical point. Earning money is one game, keeping it safe from shocks. And passing it forward is the real game. You can do everything right and still lose if you don't manage risk. Life doesn't warn you. It just sends an invoice. Often, right when you finally feel stable. And when people depend on your income, risk isn't only about you. It's about everyone behind you. That's why I treat protection like a backup file. It's not glamorous, but it saves the whole system when something breaks. You need a basic layer of protection so that if you can't work for a while, your family doesn't get dragged into high-interest debt. For many people, the most practical solutions are the simplest ones. Easy to understand, reasonably priced, focused on protection rather than promises. I'm not selling anything here, and this is entertainment, not financial advice. I just want you to remember this. You don't build freedom with hope. You build it with preparation. There's one leak that destroys wealth faster than people expect. New plan for transfer. When you don't write your intentions down, the system writes them for you. And the system doesn't care whether your family stays peaceful. Money becomes paperwork. Delays, arguments, and months of stress that nobody deserves. It's strange. People will work an extra year to earn more, but won't spend one afternoon to protect what they already have. Treat basic estate documents like a final message. Short, clear, no drama. Choose beneficiaries. Organize key information. Make sure the people you love aren't forced to search in the dark. Many communities offer low-cost legal help. The problem is rarely difficulty. The problem is delay. Every year, you delay. You're betting your family's peace on luck. If you have kids or younger siblings, you know something deep is true. Their future doesn't depend only on effort. It depends on starting position. And starting position can be created with small choices made early. Not to force them into perfection, but to give them options. I like to call it changing the odds. You're not buying success. You're buying opportunity. When you set aside a steady amount for education or skills, you're doing something most people underestimate. You turn a small number today into a big door tomorrow. The key is consistency, no pressure, no performance, no ego, and teach them to see money as a system so they don't repeat the clamp you had to escape through sweat. Now connect the whole story so you can see it's one machine, not separate tips. You start by seeing real cash flow. Then you cut invisible point deductions. And you build boundaries so kindness doesn't destroy your foundation. You create a buffer so one bad day doesn't stretch into years. You control high-interest debt so your money stops being eaten. Then you give your money a place to grow. And you build a second income stream so your life isn't owned by one decision made by someone else. When these pieces lock together, compounding stops being a concept. It becomes a feeling. The weight on your shoulders gets lighter month after month. You don't need perfection. You need direction. Direction is enough, because time will do the rest. And if you're asking, where do I start? The answer is always the same. Start where you're leaking the most. There will be moments when you feel it's unfair. Others got a lighter start. Fewer fees, more cushion. I won't deny that. Denial only makes you lonelier. It doesn't make you wealthier. But look deeper. Wealth isn't only a reward for effort. It's a reward for the system you build around yourself. When you build it correctly, you don't have to win fast. You have to win long. You can start small, quietly. And over the years, it can become a six-figure number. Not because you got lucky, but because you didn't quit in the middle. One day you'll notice the change. Surprise bills don't scare you the same. Market swings don't break you the same. You stop living paycheck to paycheck. Freedom isn't having endless money. Freedom is not being forced into bad choices because you're short on cash. And that's when you realize you've changed the starting line for an entire family. Now I want you to do one small thing that has weight. Pick one action you will complete in the next 7 days. No grand promises. Just a real move. Because habits build wealth, not motivation. If you want, leave a comment telling me where you're starting. So you place a stamp of commitment in public. For yourself, this is entertainment, not financial advice. But the truth is simple. The system doesn't become fair on its own. And freedom doesn't appear by accident. Either numbers control your life, or you learn to control the numbers through small decisions repeated long enough. If this video helped you spot even one invisible trap, please subscribe right now. This channel is new, and your support matters a lot so I can keep publishing consistently. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.